I guess I'll go. I'll dovetail once again off of what Jennifer says. We're both at the same place. One of the things from assessment standpoint, I think that just as how we do it at SBS, and comparing that against face-to-face assessments that I've done at the community college that I teach at LaGuardia, the assessments, I think, in the online arena are much more intense. I think you have a better idea of the entire scope of the course. You get to see student engagement, you get to see faculty engagement, not only for that one brief period, but you'll see what they've basically been doing throughout the course. I usually do a two-prong when I do an assessment for faculty. I look at, I'll go in, I'll have, look at the site, look at the discussion board, I'll look at the individual prompts that faculty have basically given. What's the engagement with the students, with the assignments that the prompts have hopefully sparked? What type of feedback does the instructor give to the students over the course of the discussion board, which is pretty extensive in most cases, much more extensive than when actually I have to do an evaluation of someone tomorrow out at LaGuardia. I'm going out on a Saturday. And you basically sit there for one class and you observe them. Now, the devious pirate, because I'm an online pirate, I'm always thinking about ways to beat the system. I mean, you could conceivably have a faculty member who's absolutely horrible, who'll pull out that one good lecture that he has, or that one good day, and actually teach. That's a lot harder to hide in an online environment, in a discussion board session, because you see over a period of time what they've been doing. So from an assessment standpoint, when I hear people kind of balk, well, how are we going to assess online, education? In many ways, if it's done correctly, it's way more intensive. I know I'm a little bit off topic, but from a faculty standpoint, what instructors generally, what I'm hoping that my instructors are looking to do is that level of engagement. And this is when I went back before talking about having faculty understand that teaching in an online environment is not the same as, I'm going to have my coffee, I'm going to sit in my bathrobe, and I can just, leisurely interact with students. No. The amount of back and forth, the number of emails, the number of, even outside of Blackboard, sometimes there's a lot of conversation that takes place. It's far more intensive, far more intensive. So I think the whole idea of assessment in online, once you really kind of pull the curtain back and you look at what happens, I hope it will dispel some of the fear, agita, or whatever it may be, in terms of it being effective.
James, as an online instructor yourself, what about your self-assessment?
Well, I'm always hard on myself. What do you mean exactly?
How do you determine at the end of the semester whether it's been a successful semester with this online class of yours?
Well, for me, it's a lot of the projects, when I teach online, a lot of the projects that I teach are project-based. There's discussions, but students have to basically create something. So for me, with my discipline, communication and media, digital media in general, the final assessment is, did they finish the project? If they were able to complete this, if it was, if the programming worked effectively, if the layout was efficient, if the model that I'm asking them to design is effective, it's inherent. So I think I have a little bit of a benefit, and this is when I was asking you, Shirley, about certain disciplines being maybe more or less suited to an online environment. A lot of the technical stuff that I like, where it's project-based, I think is absolutely great, because they have to, from an assessment standpoint, when they complete the project, it's there. Either it worked or it didn't. In terms of online discussion, in terms of knowing whether or not students have picked up some of the more theoretical aspects of it, it's the amount of engagement. For me, it's like, how engaged are the students? What type of questions are they asking? Are they asking the right questions, or is it just, what is the quality of the conversation? That's how I basically determine whether or not I've taught that particular class effectively. Yeah. How can I put this diplomatically?
You don't have to, just.
I'm tenured now, so I don't care.
That's right. That's right.
There are definitely some instructors who are not suited to teach in the online environment. And the ones I will generally say that aren't are the ones who are inflexible, who have gotten used to teaching in a certain way. I'm a technologist, so just on a professional standpoint, that rubs me the wrong way because technology constantly changes. And if I'm going to stay relevant, I have to constantly go back and keep learning. And I expect all of my instructors, to a large extent, to hopefully have that same type of mindset. I don't know everything. They don't know everything. There's no one who does. As things start to evolve, I'm hoping that people keep an open mind and are experimental, willing to at least entertain the possibility that there may be a different way or a better way or just maybe a more current way of doing things. So the faculty that I usually have issues with are generally the ones who, well, I've been teaching this course for the last 6 years or 8 years or whatever, and this is in an online or an offline setting. And it's always worked this way. Why can't we continue? The issues that I usually have are students are different now. You know, the way my son learns things, the way my daughter learns things is radically different than the way I learned things back then. They're much more visual. So to a certain extent, we have to engage students in the ways that they learn and be open to realizing that there's just not one playbook that we always have to stick to. I'm all for consistency. I'm all for making sure that, you know, we do maintain standards without a doubt. But there may be times when, you know, experimentation is not a bad thing. And faculty who are usually hesitant towards any type of change are usually the ones I have the most issue with. The other thing is faculty who are just not technically versed and don't want to become technically versed, which is difficult in an online environment because we're working with computers. So if they're not used to working or hesitant to work with Blackboard or working with multimedia content, those are the ones who just, from my standpoint, probably shouldn't teach in an online setting.
Before going on to the other two to answer the same question, you're echoing something Tony said. These are qualities that you look for in a face-to-face classroom as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I always agree with Tony.
Oh, okay.
But absolutely, you know, a lot of the online environment, at least from my personal standpoint, is the qualities I look for in a faculty who's teaching in a traditional classroom setting isn't that radically different than what I look for in an online and vice versa. I want faculty who are engaged, who are excited about teaching, who are experimental, willing to take risks, who are not slaves to structure and to, you know, a certain pedagogy, just, you know, willing to step out of the box. And I think in my own practice, either online or in the classroom, that's one of the things I try to bring is I try to reach the students in whatever avenue, whatever venue that they can be reached at. And I try not to hold just to, this is the way I always did things, this is the way my mom did things, you're going to do those things as well.